set? You all good?
Can I
Comfy?
cross my leg?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Get
Yeah.
comfortable. You know.
Adjust my tie?
Yeah, absolutely. Good tie. Looks good on you.
At least not a tuxedo.
You know what? You told me you were coming in a tux, and I was like, man, I better step my game up. I better get dressed up.
So you wore your black shirt?
So I wore my black shirt. Yeah, it's dressed up as like.
Well, I just had my tuxedo clean, so I didn't want to mess it up.
Okay. I feel that. You know, I do want to ask you like the most important questions first. You know, so I'm just gonna dive right in. Or if your life had a theme song, what would it be?
A theme song.
Theme song.
Never had a job.
Never had a job. That's good. All right. If there was a sitcom about your entrepreneurial journey, which actor would play you?
Which actor would play me?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
I think so.
I don't know. You stumped me. I don't have a good answer for that.
All right, let's see.
I'm trying to think of who. I don't know.
Yeah, you got to think of
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is a good answer.
Yeah. Top Gun, you know.
Top Gun. Yes, I know Top Gun. Absolutely.
I've played it many times.
Yeah. Okay. And you're a pilot too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's accurate.
I had that dream when before I got out of high school.
Yeah. When'd you learn to fly?
Well, I had two cousins when I was growing up that were pilots.
Mm.
You know, and one of them had a airstrip in his backyard.
In his backyard?
Yeah. So we on weekends, sometimes we'd go flying, you know, and I'd fly with them. But I always had this passion of being a pilot. So when I went to school in St. Pete, I was going to St. Pete College, and I was making $1.25 an hour working at the hospital, you know, to put myself through school.
Right.
So I'd save up enough money to fly 1 hour a week.
Really?
That's how I got my license. So
I love that story. All right, so you're working, flying an hour a week. You're putting yourself through school. What were you going to school for?
Respiratory therapist.
Respiratory therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So that I know brings us to your first business.
Mm-hmm.
So how'd that get started?
Well, after I got out of school, got my certification, I was actually working as assistant director of respiratory therapy department.
Okay.
So a lot of the patients that were coming in, those are back before the days of DRGs and all that. So the patient would come into the hospital, they'd pay like $100 a day, which is pretty cheap, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Balances my $1.25 an hour.
Oh yeah.
But but a lot of them were in there just to take a treatment every day.
Okay.
So they'd get a treatment on a breathing machine 3 times a day.
Okay.
You know, that was the primary reason they were in the hospital.
Yeah.
But I had this brilliant idea that they don't need to be in the hospital
To take the breathing treatment.
They could stay at home and do their own treatments, you know.
Okay.
So I started renting them a respirator for like $40 a month.
Where'd you get the respirator?
Bought it from, well, at that time it was Bird Corporation, but, you know, I bought this little respirator that they could use in their home, and they could take their breathing treatments at home.
So they didn't have to come to the
They
hospital.
didn't have to come to the hospital.
How did that?
So then the administrator of the
I was
hospital,
gonna say, yeah.
he found out about it, and he called me in his office one day, and he quizzed me about this whole situation.
Yeah.
And he said that I was competing with the hospital.
Kind of.
I
Yeah.
go, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I guess so. He says, well, you can't do that, you know.
Yeah. And how old were you?
I was probably 21.
21.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the admin is saying, "Hey, you're our competition. You can't do that."
So we had a discussion, and I said, "Listen," I said, "why don't you give me 2 weeks to think about this whole thing?" So he said, "Fine." So I took 2 weeks off, and I traveled all around.
Okay.
Several states, visited hospitals, visited respiratory therapy departments, and found that, it was nobody doing that, So I went back and quit.
So you found it was a common problem.
Yeah. So I resigned and started my business.
Started your business.
Yep.
At 20, 21.
I was 21, 22 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, so you betting on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's a leap of faith for one.
I was living in a little one room apartment
Okay.
at the time.
All right.
I think they call that efficiency apartment.
Efficiency, yeah. Studio efficiency, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I had supplies stacked up in there, and I'd sleep on the couch because there wasn't much room for a bed.
Right.
So.
And then how long did you live that way?
Probably a year. And then at that point, I rented a small space and hired a, secretary. Okay. And she managed the office, answered the phones and stuff like that. And I was out. I was actually doing, setting up respirators and stuff, but I also did some repair work on respiratory therapy machines, the hospitals.
Like in the hospital, because you knew the equipment.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I knew how to take it apart. So I did some of that. And that business grew. And we then started renting ventilators, the big ones.
Yeah.
That they would use in intensive care.
Mm-hmm.
But we started renting ventilators to hospitals, intensive care ventilators, and infant ventilators.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But we had, there was a company called Bird Corporation, there was Puritan Bennett, there was Siemens, but we started renting all these different ventilators to hospitals. And so that part of the business grew drastically. And that's...
When you say drastically, like how quickly?
Well, we were in less than 10 years, we were like in 9 states.
Wow. Okay.
And we were, earlier on, I figured out that maybe I needed an airplane.
Maybe I need an airplane. Okay. Like to distribute logistics.
So I bought an airplane.
Okay.
And my first airplane was a little single-engine airplane. It was hard to get a ventilator in there, but I could get the infant ventilators in that plane. So I flew that airplane for probably 3 or 4 years. Okay. And then I got to the point where we needed a bigger airplane, to haul these ventilators. So there's a long story that goes into the first twin-engine airplane I got, but anyhow, we ended up getting a twin-engine airplane. Then we had 2 of them, and so if hospitals would call and need a ventilator in the middle of the night, we'd get up.
You could be that guy.
Fly it to them,
Wow.
So, but we were doing business in 9 states at that point.
And so somebody calls you up and says, "Hey, we need a ventilator in North Carolina."
Fargo, North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Where
were you based?
I was here and in Chicago.
Okay.
We had a big warehouse in Chicago.
Okay.
That was our central warehouse. But we had 5 warehouses. But that was Chicago. We had one in Louisville.
So why the decision? Forgive me. I don't. Why, when I think about like sending a product to North Dakota, I think shipping costs, I think,
Mm-hmm.
UPS or FedEx or something like that.
They couldn't get it there fast enough.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Right. They needed it now.
Man, right
I
now.
mean, there were situations that happened, in the hospital where they needed a ventilator like right now.
Right now.
So
And you were
you
like,
couldn't drive there.
no, yeah.
Yeah. So the easiest way and most efficient way is fine. I mean, they paid for it.
Of course. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. They paid for it.
Right.
And they needed it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Very cool.
yeah, but we then, by that time we had a service department. We had what's called a DME company. A DME company is we take care of home patients in their home, which we rented hospital beds. We supplied oxygen in their home. But we had over 100 employees.
You got 100 employees.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, what's it like managing 100 employees?
I didn't find it stressful
Really?
at all. I guess because I have ADD,
Okay. All right. Yeah.
and it's relaxing.
Yeah. Because you're okay.
You can do this, then that, do this, then that. And you don't have to stay with one thing very long.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. So
Sounds crazy, right?
It worked out in your benefit. Is what you're telling me.
I never took any medication for ADD.
Right. Yeah. But it worked out in your favor.
Yeah.
100 employees. That's how long did you have this business?
I had for 25 years.
25 years.
Mhm.
And then you retired or you exited? Or
No, I had many offers from large corporations to come in and buy certain parts of it,
Yeah.
But I had one offer from a private individual that wanted to buy the company.
100%.
100%. Yeah. So we worked out an agreement. My attorney told me that I should do it,
Yeah.
So we worked out an agreement. I had a 1-year transition, where I stayed with the company for another year,
Okay.
and then I was out.
You were out. Wow. 25 years, clean exit,
Mm-hmm.
100% sale.
And I was not even 50 years old at that point. So
And you're
I was sort of lost. Going, now what do I do?
I hear that. So, okay. So what year did you sell it?
1992.
1992.
Mm-hmm.
So the rest of 92, like the month after you sold it, the quarter after you sold it, what was it like? What was life like for you?
Well, actually, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, not bad, right?
Because I built a house. I already had a house in Nokomis,
Mhm.
That I built in '89. So, but I, was fortunate. I had a boat, so I was right on the water in Nokomis. There was a little canal, wasn't a big boat,
Yeah.
and that big boats, but I did a lot of boating. I played golf
Yeah.
almost every day.
Just relaxing.
It was. I needed some time to relax and think things over,
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're right. It was like the day I finished my last day. I moved out. I had an apartment in Chicago. All right, yeah, I emptied that out. It was like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
It was a little.
Like mentally, right?
Yeah.
I always hear entrepreneurs talking about when they exit, there's this like identity crisis,
Mhm.
like, because you are in the business for so
Right.
long, and then the next day you're not, and it's like, all right, well, now who am I?
Mhm.
Now what do I do with my time? And
Right.
I feel like if I were to retire one day, yeah, I would hang out and golf every day and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But yeah, I assume I would run into that, like, okay, well,
Mhm.
now what? Just, can't
Right.
golfing every day is fun, but like to an extent, I suppose.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right, so you exit the business. You're not 50.
Mhm.
Why? Most people will call it a day. Not you. You started other businesses.
Well, I got interested in some other things. I knew I was going to do something. I didn't know what, so, I actually got my real estate license during that period of time. I got my mortgage broker license, and I did some of that, but that really wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
You
You didn't enjoy it.
No, not really.
Yeah.
No. So then I got involved in some other things. I did some networking,
Okay.
Different businesses, that were sort of interesting. But then I got involved in a dry cleaner.
A dry cleaner. Okay.
I got involved in a dry cleaner, and then I ended up starting I met a couple people that knew some things about washing cars and detailing and so forth. So I started a hand car wash.
A detailing business.
Detailing business.
Okay.
Did that. That spun off into a residential cleaning business.
Okay.
We had some apartments and stuff we did. I started those, sold them,
How long did you have the car wash and the cleaning business?
Probably 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
You started, grow it,
Sold it. Yeah.
Nice.
So then, I had so many people that kept asking me to get back in the medical field. And I really didn't want to do that. But in the whole process, I was mostly in Florida. I didn't do a whole lot of traveling toward the end there, but I did for a while. But I met some people that were involved in health coaching.
Yeah.
So I got really interested, and then I did that. In fact, I still have my certification for health coaching.
Okay.
But I worked with people that were overweight, diabetic and so forth. And I had a lot of clients. I still have some to this day.
Oh, nice.
I really enjoyed that.
Okay, it was fulfilling.
Yeah. I got my certification and as a certified health coach.
Yeah, yeah.
I have several of those.
You've done so much, and we haven't even gotten to the transportation business. So
right,
you have that now.
I do.
When did you start that?
Well, I started out with another gentleman that he kept asking me if I would want to invest in a taxi company.
Okay.
That was 12 years ago.
Still big business. Yeah.
Yeah. So taxis were a business, and I really was not interested at the time, but I did end up investing in it, and then after being in it and working it for about 6 months or so, it was my determination that the real money was not in taxi so much as being in the luxury sedan business.
Okay. Like a car service.
Car service.
Okay.
So I wanted to swing more into that side of the business. And, we just had a disagreement on where we were going to go with the company.
Yeah.
So we came to a point where one of us had to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I offered to sell him my part, and he chose not to do that. So I said, well, we can either close it out or I can buy you out,
Yeah. I'll go out there. And I got to tell you, man, I was 14, 15. I was jacked because I was pushing that lawnmower.
Sure.
But I remember, it was like second, why wouldn't I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I've got this lawnmower. People have high grass. They don't want to cut it. I'll cut it.
Right.
And then, even being an 18, 19-year-old, I remember buying car stereos, installing them into cars and charging people for that work.
Sure.
I never looked at it as a business. I was just making a, they would call it a side
creating an
hustle.
income.
Creating an income, right. And I always look back on that like, man, I wish I would have thought, hey, this is a business, and treated it that way. And, back then I would make, $100 in a week or whatever, cutting grass, and I would go blow it on the weekend, like, whatever. Yeah, I didn't really have that mindset, but I always had the itch, so I kind of feel like people are just wired that way, I think.
Yeah. it seems like less and less mindset like that.
I agree with that.
More people are more job oriented, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. We had.
I think we used to be like 95%
Oh, really?
entrepreneurship, and now it's like 10%.
I know it's dwindling. We had Trey Williams from Fleet Force on a couple episodes ago, and he talked about how entrepreneurship in the United States has been dwindling for decades. So it's unfortunate because I don't think that there's anything better.
No,
I don't think there's anything harder. It's challenging.
It is, yeah.
But
it's scary at first, but there isn't a business that I've ever owned that I didn't look back and go, gosh, I really didn't know much about this when I first started.
Right. Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
And you learn a lot as you go, but you just dive in and go.
Yeah. You learn a lot as you go. You figure it out as you go.
Right.
Because you run into stuff that you don't know how to overcome.
Right.
But then you learn, you figure it out, and the next time it comes up, now you're stronger. So I think everybody's got to deal with that. Unfortunately, a lot of people run into those struggles as entrepreneurs, and they fold.
Right. Well, I think one of the biggest things as a business grows, the thing that I've learned and that I see in other businesses is that as the business grows, they do more business, but they make less money as they grow. And because their expenses start grow faster than their business.
That's right.
So it's a constant battle. And some people think I'm cheap. No,
frugal.
I have learned that in business, if you don't watch your pennies every day, that expenses can get way out of hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's 5% here, a little bit here, a little bit there.
That's it.
But you have to cut every corner, all of those expenses.
Yeah.
In our business, I look at the financial statement at the end of every day.
Yeah.
And look at it.
Got it now.
I see it every day. I see we didn't make any money today. We made good money today.
Right.
Didn't make any money that day. We made good money the next day. But at the end of the month, comes out. But you monitor it all the time.
Right.
It takes 5 minutes, boom.
Yeah, but you got to know. You take those 5 minutes and now you know your numbers.
Right.
I don't think you can be.
Right.
I shouldn't say can't. The majority of businesses won't be successful unless they're pinching those pennies and watching those numbers.
They have to
every single day. And if they're not, there'll be some businesses that have success. The startups that are just incredible. They'll have success, but if they're not watching the pennies, it won't last long.
Nope.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so easy to get out of control, like our government.
What?
They waste a lot of money.
Yeah, they do.
Oh my God.
Tell me this: if somebody was going to start a business today, 21-year-old that's watching today, but they were unsure about whether they should do it or whether they should keep working a job, what would you tell them?
Well, okay, it's a tough question, number one, but it depends on their mindset. Are they willing to deal with the consequences,
Right.
And it's not easy to start a new business.
Not at all.
No,
not at all.
If they're willing
high
to
reward.
accept that risk, they should go do it, But do your homework, do as much as you can. You're not going to know everything when you start.
No.
But
you're not going to know everything 10 years in.
No, but you got to work your butt off at first.
Right.
And then it gets better, but I'd love to see more people be more entrepreneur minded, but today that's not true.
Unfortunately, it's not. I'm hoping that as time goes on, that number will reverse. More people will bet on themselves.
Yeah.
I don't quite know, but hopefully they can watch things like this and learn and get from people who are experienced like you are. So I appreciate you sharing your time and your stories with us. Thanks for being a guest, my man.
All right, thank you.
Cut.
Cut.
Man.
Cut.
It was good.